Now, the Namibia University of Science and Technology, NUST, through one of its units, the Namibia Energy Institute, together with the Department of Natural and Applied Sciences, National Radiation Protection Authority of the Ministry of Health and Social Services, is implementing a national project to map indoor radon concentration levels in homes, offices, and other buildings in the country. The project also aims at creating public awareness on dangers associated with exposure to high levels of radon, usually through inhaling of the radioactive radon gas that accumulates at higher levels inside our buildings due to poor ventilation. Radon is a naturally occurring radioactive gas that can cause lung cancer, and most radon exposure occurs inside homes, schools, and workplaces. Well, Pedro Chakwanda and Marcus Hitila, both laboratory technicians of natural and applied sciences at the Namibia University of Science and Technology, join us in studio to shed more light on the project and what its benefits entail for Namibia. Gentlemen, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Good morning.
Firstly, please give us a background on the mapping project and its intended outcomes here.
The mapping project is basically on indoor air quality measurement, but specifically focusing on radon gas concentration. Yeah. Now, this radon gas actually just a natural radioactive element, which is part of uranium-238 decay chain. Yeah. Is present everywhere in soils and rocks. So, and outside is actually harmlessly dispersed. However, inside it can accumulate. So, our aim of the intended purpose of this project is just to, number one, create public awareness. Yes. The second one, to identify area of the country within the country that has high radon gas concentration, and what remedy can be enacted in those towns in order to minimize that level of exposure.
Fantastic. And this project, of course, kicked off on the 7th of March 2020, yes. 2021, pardon me. So far, how would you describe the rollout of this project here?
So far, we have, it was in, I would say, 80% success. In the actual sense that we had some challenges, poor public awareness about the gas, and people with a mindset that radon gas is only restricted to mining towns and not in other parts of the country. Yeah. So, but as we, from town to town, some towns were very prepared, some towns were not prepared. And also public engagements that was not really well communicated through the town council.
Okay. Yes. But were the prior engagements prior to of course, traveling to this country?
Yes, we liaised with the town councils of respective towns. Yeah. So the project started on the 7th. We started in the northern part of the country. Yes. We should understand that this project is not the first project. It was initially done by NRPA, which is National Radiation Protection Authority, in 2010. Okay. However, the northern part was excluded due to lack of fund. So with the fund available now, we started with the northern town and then going to other town that was
fantastic
done before.
Pedro, please elaborate on the relationship or the working relations of the Namibia Energy Institute, the Department of Natural and Applied Sciences, as well as the National Radiation Protection Authority on this particular project here.
Excuse me. Actually, Namibia Energy Institute is part of NUST. Okay. So it's a subsection of NUST. Yes. So with collaboration of NRPA, since they have already done it, so we aim to relate their findings with what we have and then draw a map as to wherever you go, how much are you exposed to this radiation that we're talking about, yes. the gas that you're talking about.
Yeah. And based off, the study that was conducted in 2010 by the NRPA, how big of a guidance tool is that with regards to this particular project that you're carrying out now?
In regards to that, it actually guides us in terms of methodologies that we have to take and how long we happen to place the detector, which we're going to use into the houses to detect the gas. So they may have not probably used the same detector, yeah. But this detector have a filter paper in which it traps the alpha particles. So as my colleague says, based on the challenges that we experience, most of these people think this is the COVID stimulate, okay. Or it can voice record or video record. But however, this is just a detector that can detect the alpha particles from the radon gas that is emitted.
Okay. And how long roughly would this have to be in place, to properly detect?
Minimum of 3 months, but maximum of 6 months. So we will entail to leave it into houses is for probably for 4 months or 5 months for now, and then see what the results are for now.
All right. Looking at those negative connotations that you just referred to, the fears around COVID-19, the fears that this could possibly be a recording device, how are you intending on overcoming this negative connotation, so to say?
We intend to overcome it by letting people know that this is not a COVID stimulant. It's not a voice record. It's not a video record. They should just help us, help them in placing the detector so that we can at least measure the concentration of the radon gas, which could cause cancer and reduce their life expectancy. So we're actually trying to help them help us.
Very much so. Marcus, radon gas, of course, causes lung cancer, as we've come to learn over the years. And what happens is, due to the natural breakdown of uranium in rock, soil, water, for instance, this then leads off to radioactive gas, so to say, in the end, can cause lung cancer to the people. Looking at the cause, the primary cause of this radon is, of course, the breakdown of natural uranium. And one would assume the large deposit that Namibia does have globally, you're looking at the coastal parts of the country where you can find large deposits of uranium. So one would expect that, perhaps the coastal parts of the country would form, primary to this project. Is that the case?
Not necessarily. The analogy is not true. It is very debatable. From the 2010 survey, we realized that Erongo region is actually lower than Karas region and Oshkoto region. Now, the fact that Erongo region is probably the prime land for uranium does not constitute that will be the area where you're going to have high radon gas. Facts number one is that that Erongo region are well better prepared and they understand the consequences of radon gas. So their construction industry, from the 2010 survey, and prior to that, there was a study done by Rossing Uranium. And they have actually enacted certain mechanisms in their construction of houses, whereby it has the potential to release that gas to the atmosphere. Because once it's out there, it's harmfully dispersed, but inside it accumulates. So we have realized that from the 2010 that we need actually to focus on other towns that could be the danger, because number one, uranium isn't only in the ore. The one in the ore is actually deposited deep down the crust. However, the one in the soil, we have some soil that rich in uranium, especially Oshkoto region. We have rich in uranium granite rocks and cast irons. So those rocks have higher grade uranium content. And most of our building material is from tiles, granite tiles, and then granite cast formation soils. Kind of.
Considering the amount of natural water that Namibia relies on, how big of a threat does this pose to many of the people living here?
Now, we should understand that water is normally, we don't consume water just like that. We have to treat it through different mechanisms. So we have now water treatment plant that have the potential to actually minimize that effect. But radon in water can actually escape into the atmosphere, and it will be low concentration in the water. But there hasn't been any study done on that effect. So we need to do more research on that and to see how much of our underground wells contribute to what radon concentration and public exposure.
Fantastic. What holistic, industrial contribution does this particular mapping exercise, stand to benefit Namibia?
The holistic benefits, I would say that our respective cities and town councils and construction industry, to say, it to help them in the fact that new construction of buildings and houses, in terms of prevention, will have a better understanding of what maximum to put in place to minimize radon exposure, and also what you call remediation and mitigation in terms of existing buildings. So when you're renovating your house, you understand that, yes, how much ventilation I need in my house, to what extent I need to fix the cracks, because
Yes.
it's a gas, it can escape through any cracks.
The
in
foundation, the cracks in the wall, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And also now we're going to have a better public awareness in terms of health exposure.
Yeah.
And the Minister of Health can use that data for better policy making and management of environment.
Fantastic.
Going forward.
Yeah. Pedro, perhaps you can give us an outline of your activities at present, perhaps which towns you'll be visiting, and also perhaps how you go about, disseminating this information.
Yeah. Okay, so right now, by 9 o'clock, we should have to be in Rehoboth. We are waiting for the response from the Namibia local authorities, Windhoek local authorities, to give us a feedback. So as soon as they reply, so we're going to start deploying. And then from there, we continue with Okahanja. And then after that, we continue with phase two, which is going to start from Swakop, down to Ochivarongo and Tumeb. So what we're going to do is, we have these radon detectors.
Yes.
What we do is we use a double tap. If you see here, there are two holes, two simple holes. These two holes, they will allow the air to go inside. Yes. So there's a trace paper, there's a trace, and on that trace, they will be leaving a mark of the alpha particles that we are detecting for as the radon gas. So after that, we take that trace of paper, we take to the laboratory for analysis. So if we find that in that building, the radon gas is higher or above the permissible limit, and then therefore we can go and advise the local authorities to advise their citizens as to they must open their windows. But if it's way too higher, then we can go deeper and do further research as to where the rock, the building materials were found, and all that, to find more clarity on that.
What is the permissible limit at present?
Permissible limit is one millisecond.
For Namibia, we stuck at 200 millibecquerels per cubic.
200
millibecquerels per cubic. So that is So, but that is according to our regulatory authority, that is NRPA. Most people might not understand why NRP come in the picture. NRP is the custodian of environmental monitoring in terms of radiation. So that is their custodian. What you are doing, you're actually doing one of their objectives under their mandate as part of the Atomic Energy Board.
Fantastic.
And the Namibia being part of International Atomic Energy Agency, we are obliged by that act that we should have in place a map that depicts to what level of concentration of radon is in the country, so that any tourist that comes in the country would know that when I'm in window, this is what I'm exposed to. Just like someone that is flying, you know that when you are flying, you're intentionally exposed to radiation of that magnitude. So that is what we are doing.
Fantastic. For those who would like to, of course, contact you and form part of this exercise, how can they go about it here?
They can contact our project officer, Ndakema Hamungete, at 061 207 2011, or they can contact Mr. Marcus through his office, 061 207 2604, or they can also contact my office, which is 081 061 207 2687.
Fantastic. Any final remarks from you, Mr. Itilo?
Final remark, I just want to say, to urge the general public to be cooperative. What you are doing is for the public good and of public domain, is of public domain interest. And we to give a long way. It's actually a starting point. I know it's difficult to comprehend some of the information, but when you are going out there, we are not intending any harm. We are just for the public good. That's it.
Any final remarks from you, Fred?
My final remark is that there is a lot of criminal activities in Windhoek. When we go to households, each household, we're going to present ourselves wearing NUST shirts. We'll be having our staff cards. If we happen to carry students, the students will all have student cards. So they must, anybody who want to interfere with our research should carry a staff card or student card and present NUST shared.
Very much so. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here this morning, and all the best with this very important exercise. We do hope that you, of course, do get the intended outcomes from it.
Thank you so
for
much.
the audience.
There you have it. That was Pedro Chakwanda, who is a laboratory technician of natural and applied sciences at the Namibia University of Science and Technology, as well as Marcus Itila, who is also a laboratory technician of natural and applied sciences at NUST as well, talking to us this morning about a radon mapping project, that of course NUST is carrying out at present in various towns to determine the level of radioactive gas that is found, or that may be present in various homes, workplaces, etc. And of course, they are busy carrying out this project to determine what is the level of radiation, as this can lead to lung cancer. So please, if you do come across them, if you do find them approaching you, please play your part. And of course, let's help to protect and make our environments safer. To stay with us.